While the decision by the Premier of Victoria, Dictator Dan Andrews, to scrap the 2026 Commonwealth Games is extraordinary, it is also, in one sense, unsurprising. Because that's the way Dan Andrews runs his state, with a policy on a whim, according to the mood of the all-powerful Premier. It's only a year ago that Andrews announced that the Games would be held in regional Victoria, that the cost would be about $2.5 billion, and that the benefits to the state would be considerable. 12 months later, he claims that the cost is now as high as $7 billion and no longer viable. While many authoritative commentators have dismissed the $7 billion figure as fanciful and plain dishonest, he continues to maintain that's the case while refusing to provide any details. The reality is that Victoria's finances under the leadership of Dictator Dan are in disarray, and it's struggling to pay its bills and to fund essential infrastructure. Always remembering that under his guidance, Melbourne became the world's most locked down city during COVID, and now regional Victoria is paying the price. The 2026 Commonwealth Games would have been immensely beneficial to the economies and property markets of the host centres, Geelong, Bendigo, Ballarat, Shepparton and Gippsland. It would have been a unique event, the first time the Games would be shared by regional cities, and a massive boost to their economies and to regional employment. Now that has all been whipped away without consultation, discussion or warning, and it's gut-wrenching for those communities which were already organising and investing in anticipation of the big events that were promised to come their way. It's a major blow also for property markets, yet another one because a series of decisions by Dictator Dan has provided significant discouragement to investors, including the recent decision to massively increase land tax inflicted on investor owners. Dictator Dan announced also on the 23rd of July that he's planning to mandate rental caps in Victoria, which the REIV has labelled disastrous and nonsensical, a decision which would cause homelessness because it would force owners of rental properties to sell. It's a decision that fails to deal with the core problem, which is the shortage of properties, and a rental cap will actually make the undersupply considerably worse. Reports suggest that many investors are selling up and getting out of Victoria, a state which already has a serious shortage of investment properties, with Melbourne's vacancy rate just 1.3% and many regional cities below 1%. We're now seeing headlines like mass exodus of landlords to further constrict already disastrous rental market. The ultimate losers will be people who need a place to rent, already hard to find and increasingly expensive, and likely to get considerably worse thanks to the extraordinary inept management by the state government led by Dictator Dan Andrews.